Hello, everybody. This is Carla. Welcome back to the studio. Bear with me as I get our stuff all put together here so everything's together. It's weird when you do lives with YouTube, you never know what's going to happen with the screen and the orientation and all that other wonderful stuff when you do this. So just want to make sure everything looks good. Everything is kind of straight here. And let's see, we should be good. So thank you for joining me here in the studio. This is my Throwback Thursday. This is where I pull out the retired stash and I create two projects with that stash. So today is Thursday, February 20th, and today's video is going to be about birthdays. And so today happens to be one of my nearest and dearest friends' birthday. So happy birthday to you, Stephanie. And so these cards are kind of dedicated to you. So I am bringing out a suite of products that was in our, it's either January to April or January to June, one of the two. Because at one point we went a full 6 months, and then most months it was 4 months. It was our occasions catalog, and in this catalog was the birthday bonanza suite of products. So let me show you really quickly what was in this suite. So this is the designer series paper. Um, Ignore this, I just used another package to put this in. This is the Birthday Bonanza Designer Series paper. It does feature some retired colors in here. There's Basic Black, Bermuda Bay, Coastal Cabana, Chrome Cake, Daffodil Delight, Grapefruit Grove, Mango Melody, Terracotta Tile, Smoky Slate, and at the time it was Whisper White, but now we have Basic White. So there's the Designer Series paper. Also, there is the Daffodil Delight Ruched ribbon. And then also in here, there is the assorted pom-poms. Let me take these out of their little baggie. So little tiny pom-poms. I believe that is, I don't think there's red in here. No, but it looks like that it's either Real Red, or Poppy Parade. You have your white Coastal Cabana and then Grapefruit Grove. So these are little tiny pom-poms. So that's the embellishments. The bundle is the Bonanza Buddies stamp set. So you have some two-step stamping with a koala, a lion, and a toucan, and then you have some gifts, a party hat, and some really cool greetings in here. I'm glad it's your birthday so I can tell you how wonderful you are. Let's celebrate you. Happy birthday. And then there's also a to and a from. And then there are some coordinating the Bonanza dies. So you have your dies that will cut out your stamped images. Now, what's interesting about the lion here is that when you stamp the lion, the die is set up to where it'll cut out the whole body. You would stamp the main part separately. It also has the tip of the tail here as well. So you stamp that, and then there's a die that will cut this out. So the head will not be attached to the body. You can just simply take the head and you can pop it up on top of this and then glue it onto the body. So I will be using that in our second project. So I'll show you what that looks like. Now ahead of time, I did do the stamping and the die cutting ahead of time. We will be doing some stamping as far as like with the greetings go. Now, another thing that I'm going to also use with this, since most of the colors are in this, this is, what are these called? These are called What are these called? Uh, yeah, where is it? Okay, so this was bundled with metallic baker's twine that was in Bermuda Bay and Daffodil Delight. I believe it was either a silver or a gold metallic that was intertwined with it. So it was the baker's twine, and then you had these sequins. And these sequins, as you can see, there's kind of like this little stripe design on them. So you have Bermuda Bay. I believe this is Calypso Coral, and then these yellow ones are So Saffron color. But they do work well with all of this. So again, this was a Sale-A-Bration offering the same year and the same time frame that this suite had come out. So I'm going to be using some of these as well on our projects. So with that, let me move this aside and let's get started with our first card. So the first card that I'm going to do, it is a fun fold. This one is called the Tri-Panel card. Really fun card. Now, when it came to deciding on the cardstock colors to use on this, I just went with the colors that are listed in the designer series paper. So if you ever wonder, what color cardstocks to go with as far as creating your cards, if you're using designer series paper, just look at the colors that are listed in the paper, and that makes it a little bit easier. Pull out, those cardstock colors and just kind of put them together. So for my base, it's actually just going to be a 5.5 by 4.25 inch piece of Bermuda Bay. I have a piece of terracotta tile. This measures 5.25 by 4. I have a piece of coastal cabana. This measures 4.5 by 3 1/4. I have a piece of mango melody. I really like this color. I was sad when they retired this one because this is a nice like yellowish orangey color. So I really like this one. So this piece measures 11 by 4 1/4. And then I had scored it at 1.5, 3 inches, 5.5, and 8 inches. And then for the designer series paper, I chose 3 different patterns out of that pack of the birthday bonanza designer series paper. So this piece here measures 4 by 2 3/4. This one is 4 by 2 1/4. And then this one is 4 by 1 1/4. And then out of a scrap piece of Grapefruit Grove and Basic White, I had punched these both out using, so the 2 inch punch, I punched out the Basic White, and then the 2 1/4 inch circle, I punched out that Grapefruit Grove. So I am also going to pull out the stamps that I need for this. We will be stamping our greetings. So for this, I want, this gift looks like I got a little piece of that from those sequins, kind of like stuck to my stamp there. So there's this little striped piece right here. You can make that as a candle or it can be a gift. I want the greeting that says, it says, I'm glad it's your birthday so I can tell you how wonderful you are. So we want that one. We want the happy birthday. And then there's this one stamp here that has like this long ribbon with the bow. We want that one as well. Okay, so let's put that aside and let's go and get some of our blocks here. I am stamping on this Mango Melody piece, so that I'm going to do that first before I do any of my folding. So I want to quickly just put these on blocks. Let's set those aside, and we'll put that aside. We're going to keep our white circle here. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. This is a photopolymer stamp set, so I want to have a nice cushion since the photopolymers don't have them. So the way that this is going to fold, so this is the larger piece here. You want that to the right. So this piece is going to fold over this way, and then it's going to be like a zigzag fold, and then this piece here will be open on this side. So this second section right here, this is where I'm going to stamp my one greeting. Now, what I'm going to do for stamping my greeting, instead of using a black ink pad, I want a really good dark, sharp image when I do this. So I'm going to bring in my basic black Stampin' Right marker. I'm going to use the brush tip side, and I'm going to ink up. So you want to use the side of the brush, and I'm going to ink up my greeting here. It just gives it a really dark, vibrant, it'll give you the, as if you had used stays on your greeting, but the difference is when you go to clean this stamp using your Stampin' Scrub or your chamois, the ink is going to come off. Whereas if you use stays on, it's going to permanently be on there. Okay, so I have that all inked up. So I am going to bring this down. I want to huff on this just to make sure that the ink is going to be wet. And then I am going to stamp this right here in the middle. And I didn't quite get all of my U here, so I'm just going to use the tip here just to kind of finish that, fill that in. Okay, so we have that, and we'll set this aside. And then for my white circle here, I want the happy birthday. So let me ink that up. Make sure I get it all. Okay. Now I'm going to stamp this in the middle, but up towards the top. And I'm going to stamp that right up here. Okay. And then I'm going to take this image here that's going to be my gift, and I'm going to bring in my Daffodil Delight ink. Ink this up. And then I'm going to stamp that right down here. Okay, close this up. Now I'm going to go over it with this bow, but I do want this ink to dry some first, so that way when I add the black ink over this, it's not going to, that black ink won't bleed into the yellow. So I'm going to set this aside for a moment, and we'll come back to that. So now I want to kind of take all these pieces, and I want to start assembling them. So my piece of Bermuda Bay, I'm going to take my piece of terracotta tile. I'm going to bring in my seal, add some on here. And then I'm going to place that on top here. Okay. And then I'm going to take my piece of Coastal Cabana. And then I'm going to center that on here like so. Okay, and then let's take this piece here. So this is going to fold over this way. So on this panel here, I'm going to take this pattern, my larger piece. This is the 4 by 2 3/4 inch piece. I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. And we'll center this right here. Like so. Okay, so that's going to fold over. This will fold out. So on this panel here, I'm going to take the piece of DSP that measures 4 by 2 1/4. Now these are the balloons. You want to make sure that the ribbons and the bows that they're going in the right direction. So add some adhesive here. Whoops, and we did not want to get it on here. So just get that off of there. Okay, and then that is going to be centered right here. Like so. And then our final piece, that is the 4 1 1/4. I'm going to add some adhesive to this. Okay, and then again, you want to make sure that the bows are going in the right direction. And then this is going to go right here on this front flap right here. So this is what the piece is going to look like. So you're going to skip panels, and you're going to have paper on the outer pieces, and in the middle here you're going to stamp your greeting here, and then this is going to be left blank, so you can write your your greeting or whatever and sign it in this spot. You can do it here, and if you want more room to write your greeting, you can also write it on the back of this as well. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my bone folder, and I'm going to fold this over like so. And we'll score that, and then I'm going to fold it back and score it again. And then this folds over. And then this will fold back. Like so. And then I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. So I want this to stick really well. And this wants to give me a hard time. So I want to put all along these edges because I do not want this to come unstuck. Okay, and then make sure I'm holding it the right way. And then this is going to get centered in that Coastal Cabana panel, like so. And then just press that down. And I apologize if the camera is shaking. The holder that's holding it is clamped to this table, so there is our card. So now we're going to add our happy birthday greeting, but we're going to stamp our bow on here first. So I'm going to do that. Again, I'm going to ink this up using my basic black Stampin' Write marker. Now you don't want to do this with the Stampin' Blend markers, which is our alcohol-based markers, because that will definitely not come off your stamp. That up. And I'm going to stamp over, so that straight line is going to go in the middle of that. So ribbon and a bow right gift. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to let that dry just for a moment before I attach it to my Grapefruit Grove circle. So in the meantime, I'm going to clean these stamps really quick. And again, I apologize for all the shaking that I'm doing. Okay. And then I'm going to take my adhesive. I'm going to add some on this circle. Okay, I don't know what this thing is doing, but okay. And then we'll put that on our Grapefruit Grove circle. Just center that on there like so. Okay, and then this is going to go right over the center here on this top flap, and I'm going to use my dimensionals. Now when you use the dimensionals, you only want to go from here over. You don't want to put any right here, or you won't be able to open up your card. So I am going to take this, kind of look at where I'm going to put it, and then I'm going to just kind of put, I got black ink on my hands. Okay, and then I'm going to see where I don't want to go too far, and then I'm just going to put my hand right there, and then I'm going to add these dimensionals right here, and then I'm going to add one on this side like so. Okay, and then I want to place this, make sure that my card is straight, and I'm going to place this right here. And I'm not going to press really hard because I want to make sure you don't see any of those dimensionals showing. Okay, so there is our card, and then I'm going to bring in these sequins here. Use one of each, and I'm going to use the larger ones. And then I'm going to bring in my glue dots. And let's see, we want one of these Calypso Coral ones. Now, Calypso Coral is not one of the colors that's in this paper, nor is So Saffron, which is the yellow, but it'll still work. What's really cool that these sequins, they have, trying to do this, so they kind of like have this little stripe design on them. So this one here with the Bermuda Bay, I'm going to place that right on the corner here. And then this Calypso Coral one, I'm going to place this one right here. And then the So Saffron one is going to go right up there. Okay, so let me close that because we don't want those to get all over the place. And I got one more glue dot left on this, and then I have to get another roll of it. So let me do that. Get rid of that excess. All right, so there is our first card. So this is a tri-panel card. Okay, and then it's just basically using the designer series paper. And then for the cardstock color pieces, I just went with the colors that are in the designer series paper. Okay, so there is our first card. And then let me get the stuff that we need for our second card. So on this card, I did do some of the stamping and die cutting ahead of time just to save some time. And this one we're going to be doing like all the critters, and there's a lot of designer series paper that we're using on this one, and it's just really super cute. So for my cardstock and paper pieces, this is Terracotta tile. This measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of that birthday Bonanza designer series paper. So one side you see it has this pattern with these candles. The other side has the ice cream cone. This measures 5 1/4 by 4. Then out of another piece of this pattern with the candles, there are two different banner dies in there. So there's one that does the triangles, and then there's one that does these half circles. So I took the die and I basically just put it on top of the candles, just so I had like that stripe design, and I die cut those. But we're going to have this piece on here like so. Then out of a scrap piece of Bermuda Bay, I had die cut 3 of these rectangles. These are from the rectangled stitched dies. Those are retired. So there's 3 of those. And then out of a scrap of Coastal Cabana, Daffodil Delight, and Grapefruit Grove, there's a die, excuse me, that, excuse me, I apologize, and my throat's getting all scratchy all of a sudden. So Coastal Cabana, Daffodil Delight, and Grapefruit Grove, there's a die that die cuts these triangles, which would be their party hats. And then out of a scrap piece of basic white, I had stamped the koala using smoky slate. And then with the black, there's a stamp that does the nose, the eyes, and the mouth. And then I die cut him. Then there is this toucan. This too, I stamped it and I did my coloring, and then I had die cut that. And when I colored the colors in the toucan in its beak, I had used my Stampin' Write markers. I didn't pull out the Stampin' Blend, so I have the Mango Melody Stampin' Write marker. So this was part of the Brights collection. So when you look in the description, there's going to be you're going to see Brights Stampin' Write markers listed twice. The one with the Daffodil Delight is the most current one, and then the other one where it'll say retired is the one where Mango Melody was part of that collection. And then I have the Terracotta tile. This was part of the 2019 to 2020 in colors, so that's listed in there as well. So I had used these three markers to color in his beak. And then on the lion, like I mentioned on the lion, I stamped the whole body here in Daffodil Delight. I had die cut it so that it'll die cut the head and the body as two separate pieces. Then on the mane here, now this is one stamp with the mane, and then it has the tip of the tail. I stamped that in Mango Melody, and then there's a die that die cuts both pieces out at the same time. And then for this, I glued the mane down to the body part. And then with a dimensional, I popped up the head part right there in the center. And then also there's a stamp in there that I did in black to do the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and then the little freckles there where the whiskers would be. So I did that ahead of time as well. Let's see, let's start. Let me pull out actually what I'm going to use here. So there's this little stamp right here that's kind of like the topper for the hat, but we're going to use that to stamp those onto our party hats. And then I want the stamp that says, "Let's celebrate you." Okay, and let me get some blocks here. And let's celebrate you. All right. So I'm going to start off. I want to fold and burnish my card base. And then I'm going to adhere my designer series paper down. And we'll center that right here. Okay, and then these three panels of Bermuda Bay, I'm going to add my adhesive on these three pieces. Bermuda Bay was definitely one of those colors I liked. I was kind of sad when they had retired this color. My favorite color is purple. And then there's a very close second with blues and the aquas. All right, so with these pieces here, I'm going to place them, kind of center them, but I'm leaving just a little bit on the left there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this one down. Now I'm not going to press these down completely because I want to be able to move them if I need to. Just to make sure that they're all lined up and I have an equal distance between all of them. So you can see that that one all the way to the right, it doesn't match up. So that's why I didn't press this down all the way. Just so I can move that so these are all lined up. So let me kind of make sure it's, whoops. That one wasn't even stuck down enough to keep it in place. So make sure that they're straight. Yeah, it looks like it needs to. good. Okay, now this is something that normally you would want to do this before you glue this down in the event you don't stamp this well. But what makes it easier to do this is that this is a photopolymer stamp set, so you can see through it and you can see exactly where you are stamping. So I'm going to stamp this greeting, Let's Celebrate You, right here on the designer series paper, right underneath that middle panel. And I'm going to bring in that basic black marker again, and I'm going to ink up this greeting. Make sure that I get every bit of it. Okay. Gonna huff on it, and then I'm going to stamp this right here on the designer series paper, right underneath that second Bermuda Bay panel. Okay, so I need to have that nice and dark so that way you're able to see that easily on that paper. I just want to quickly clean that stamp off, and let me kind of move these out of the way. All right, and then I'm going to bring in some scrap paper, and I want to bring in these party hats. And then I got this little topper here, this star, whatever you want to call it. So for this, I want my Mango Melody. So I'm going to stamp 3 of those on my Daffodil Delight party hat, and try not putting my finger in the ink. And then I'm going to stamp that 3 times on here. Like so. Let's set that aside, let that dry. And then on the Coastal Cabana one, I'm going to do Bermuda Bay. I'm going to clean this first. Okay. And do the same thing with this one. Stamp it 3 times. Okay. Clean this. And then we're going to bring in the Terracotta tile ink. And again, stamp this 3 times. Okay, then we can move this out of our way. Let's bring in our card, and I'm going to bring in my liquid glue. And I am going to adhere after I get this glue off and get the ink off of my fingernail. I'm going to take this triangle banner piece, and I'm going to add some glue on these pieces here. Don't want to use a lot because I don't want the glue to ooze out all over the place. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to go from the top here down, from this edge of the paper to that edge of the paper. Press that down, and then I'm going to add glue onto the back of this scalloped one. Okay, and then that one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go from the top edge to the side. Press that down. Okay, and then I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to take my party hats here, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue just to the bottom of the hat, and I'm going to place that. So on my lion, I'm going to place that hat like right there. Just press that down, like so, and then I'm going to bring in my dimensionals and add one there, one here, put one there. And then I'm going to take him and I'm going to place him kind of like at an angle. Press that down. And then on my koala, I'm going to take that, now where to go? Where's the other party hat? I just lost the party hat for him. I don't believe that. I just had it. Oh, okay. It's still on that grid paper that I used. Okay, so I'll just add a little bit onto the bottom and then put the hat on his head. And then bring in the dimensionals for him. Okay, and then we'll place him